Hi everyone, my name is Natalie Coria and I'm a senior at Pacific Lutheran University studying strategic communications. To kickstart the use of my skills in the society, I created a content strategy plan for Dutch Hill Barn Vintage. Dutch Hill Barn Vintage is an antiques and vintage treasure shop located in Snohomish, Washington. It's a home business run by the owner, Lori Lombard, and it provides online and in-person shopping, just a unique experience in general. There's one-of-a-kind items there, and it's constantly growing, so there's a lot of opportunity for marketing here. Right away, when I started working with her, I noticed some weaknesses of her current social media strategy plan. She had minimal involvement with her clients, irrelevant content. You can see here, this is her Instagram. There's just not a lot to go off of here. Limited platform knowledge, especially with Instagram, which is what she wanted to focus on mostly of all her improvements. And just weak branding and aesthetic in general. There was no access to her products from her Instagram, no links or anything like that, which is really important when you're running a business online. Her competitors, which there are a lot of in Snohomish, Washington, while it's a small town, it is full of curated shops that also sell antiques. And many of these shops have websites, phone numbers, right away, easy to access online, and you can just access them walking down the street, which you can't do with Dutch Hill Barn Vintage. And they're also more successful. Dutch Hill Barn Vintage is able to, sell her products, but for less money and in a longer amount of time than a lot of her competitors. So the first steps in improving her, just kind of her online presence in general, was to get an understanding of her ability and business targets. I needed to know what her technological ability is, what her desired target customers are, and just her overall business environment so that I could get a feel of what the aesthetic she's trying to put out is. And then I needed to plan content strategy tools. So using my past experience, I decided to create some tools that would really assist Dutch Hill Barn Vintage in all her future content management. And then I backed up those tools with strategy because she's really new to online strategy. And so I wanted to ensure that all my tools were backed up with lots of knowledge and evidence so that she knows that those will actually work. So the three tools I decided to create is the Target Consumer Snapshot, which is just a one-page get-to-know consumers. It's in statistics, psychographics. It's just everything you can know about these consumers and that target segment that you can apply to business techniques so that she'd be able to take the knowledge on that paper and just put it towards her communication with that group. And then I created an Instagram content management guide, which is just a quick guide to how, when, and what you should be posting on Instagram to generate the most interest and just connection with consumers. And then I created Instagram post templates, which is a series of 3 posts that are in the categories of lifestyle, promotional, and announcement that just kind of represent the level of quality that's on Instagram now and maybe some ideas for campaigning in general, what those should look like. So this is the Target Consumer Snapshot. It goes over psychographics, as I said before, which are just values, lifestyle, everything you can know about your target group. And I decided to focus on marketing to millennials. And while that's a really big target consumer group, she seemed to be really hesitant to close up her reach and was really new to just the idea of segmenting in general. So I wanted to make sure that she didn't feel closed off by it and would actually use this tool. So I kept it pretty large scale and kept it at millennials, which she didn't even know was a segment. She thought her customers were just kind of, all different ages and things like that. But when we looked at them, she really wanted to focus a lot on these certain ages, and she didn't know that they had things in common, which this group definitely does. So it goes over values, lifestyle, all the preferences and aversions of marketing towards them, who they are in general, and then I put together some insights so that she could take everything and just get some quick advice about how to market towards them without having to go over the entire thing all the time. I used framing theory to put this together. Framing theory is the understanding that messages can be interpreted in tons of different ways, depending on how they're constructed and how those messages are relayed and given to people. I used it to create this, and I think that it will help frame effective marketing messages and just to help her understand the target consumer in general. The next tool I created is an Instagram content management guide. So this tool has the day, time, and what you should write for captions, what you should put for content, and helpful hashtags on it. It goes over lifestyle, promotion, and announcement posts, puts them into categories, and gives my client a little bit of a guide on how to post on Instagram, to really reach them, to post at the same time that they're looking online, to get to a caption that's going to engage them, and to have content that is at the quality that they're actually looking at. I used the attention economy to back this up. This is the idea that attention is a resource that's really comparable to money, and that it runs the economy, and the economy depends on what people are paying attention to. So the job of a marketer is to grab that attention from the audience and to bring forth interest and interest in the business and in direct sales. The last tool I created is an Instagram post template in the form of three different posts. It's a series. There's lifestyle, promotional, and announcement. Here's a closer look at what they look like. You can see I even laid out the captions there for her to look at. Very accessible. I wanted her to be able to include links right to her product so that people can actually get to her sales. So that's the lifestyle. There's the promotional, and this is the announcement. And they all have different types of accessibility and different goals. I used elaboration likelihood model to form this tool. This is the explanation that all messages are persuasion and will be interpreted two ways, either peripherally or centrally, and that depends on how involved the audience is with the message. And these post templates will help Dutch Hill Barn Vintage to understand what kind of content is going to be successful on Instagram and to build similar posts that lead to successful Instagram. So overall, these deliverables will help guide her into better customer relationships, increased visibility with current and future customers, elevated aesthetic, expanded accessibility, better knowledge of consumers, and simple, stronger content creation. These are some of the areas she struggled with at first, and so I wanted to get her into a space where she could really compete with the same businesses around her, and all of these skills will really help her get to that point. PLU, of course, guided me in creating all of this, these plans, knowing how to do this, gaining these skills. These are some of the classes that really guided me in that process. As I'm a strategic communications major, I used all these classes to back up my tools and to help me gain these skills. And I learned a lot on my own from this process. I could gauge brand and business just by asking questions. I can get a feel for how the brand is and create content for particular clients, just depending on who they are. And I learned how to do content creation, which I hadn't had a lot of experience in doing before, but is really simple after learning all the processes for this project. And I have a lot more confidence in general. I can actually work with businesses with minimal guidance, and I have a lot more confidence in using what I've learned to actually help businesses. Every skill I've learned is a step closer to my goals. So thank you so much, Pacific Lutheran University, and thanks everyone for listening.